Om
ॐ
Vakratunda Mahakaya
वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय
Surya Koti
सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ
Samaprabha Nirvignam
निर्विघ्नं
Kuru
कुरु
Me
मे
Deva
देव सर्वकार्येषु
Sarvakaryeshu
सर्वदा
Sarvada Saraswati
सरस्वति
Namastubhyam
नमस्तुभ्यं
Varade
वरदे
Kamarupini
कामरूपिणि
Vidyarambham
विद्यारम्भं
Karishyami
करिष्यामि
Siddhir Bhavatu
सिद्धिर्भवतु
Me
मे
Sada
सदा
Gurur Brahma
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा
Gurur
गुरुर्विष्णुः
Vishnu Gurudeva
गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः
Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat
गुरुसाक्षात्
Param
परं
Brahma
ब्रह्म
Tasmai
तस्मै
Shri
श्रीगुरवे
Gurave
नमः।
Namaha Apara
ॐ
Karuna Sindhum
सिन्धुं ज्ञानदं
Jnanadam
शान्तरूपिणं
Shantarupinam Sri Chandrasekhara
श्रीचन्द्रशेखरगुरुं
Gurum Pranamami Mudanvaham
प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्
Yatkripalesha Matrena
यत्कृपालेशमात्रेण
Puman
पुमान्
Purna
पूर्णः
Prajayate
प्रजायते
Tam
तं वन्दे
Vande Brahma
ब्रह्मविद्रुर्यं
Suryam
सद्गुरुं
Sadgurum
चन्द्रशेखरम्
Chandrasekharam Om
ॐ
Sahana
सहना भवतु
Bhavatu
सहनौ
Sahana
भुनक्तु
Bhunaktu
सह वीर्यं
Sahaviryam
करवावहै
Karavavakai
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
Tejasvidhavadhetamastu
मा
ma
विद्विषावहै
vidvishavahai
ॐ
Om
शान्ति
Shanti
शान्ति
Shanti
शान्तिः
Shanti Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha
ॐ श्रीपरमात्मने नमः
Atha Shashtodhyayah
अथ षष्ठोऽध्यायः
Arjuna Uvacha
अर्जुन उवाच
Shloka number 33 Arjuna Uvacha Yoyam yogastvaya proktas samyena madhusudana
योऽयं योगस्त्वया प्रोक्तः साम्येन मधुसूदन
एतस्याहं न पश्यामि चञ्चलत्वात् स्थितिं स्थिराम्
एतस्याहं न पश्यामि चञ्चलत्वा स्थितिं स्थिराम्
Having listened to Bhagavan's words on meditation now, Arjuna intercepts and asks these questions. It's a valid question. All the sadhakas does. Arjuna uvacha. So Bhagavan had taught yoga, dhyana yoga. So that yoga which you have taught, yoga which you have taught, E Madhusudana, in all these words, the yoga which you have taught at the beginning of the year, and the Samyena, the yoga, Toya Proktaha Samyena yoga, Samya, this Samadarshanam, Sarvatra Samadarshanam, Sarvabhuta Stamatmanam, Sarvabhuta Nijatmani, Ikshate Yogiktatma, Sarvatra Samadarshanaha, the Samatvam, Samadarshanam, Ekatvam, that Samya, that is Samya. Yoga Toya Proktaha Samyena, that is with the Samyena, Samya Sama, sameness. Etasyaham na pashyami. I don't see, I don't the clear is na pashyami, I don't see. Etasya, that yoga, what you have taught, Toya yoga, Yaha yoga, Toya proktaha, Madhusudana. That aham na pashyami. Why? Because chanchalatvat stitim stiram. You have to supply manaha. Manaha is chanchalatvat. Because of the chanchala. Because of the manaha is chanchalatmakam manaha. The very definition of mind is chanchalatmakam manaha. Mana is always, it is fickle, the ticklish nature of the mind. Therefore, chanchalatvat stiram stitihi. Stiram stitim na pashyami. Because of stira. Etasya agam na pashyami. Because of the chanchalatvat stiram stitim na pashyami. Because of the agitation of the mind, I don't see it clear. So, e Madhusudana, Madhurama Rakshasam Sudayati. Or Madhu is means honey. Ahankara is Madhu. One's ego is a Madhu for oneself. So therefore, Madhu Nama Ahankara, Ahankaram Sudayati, the one who destroys. So Madhusudana, or slayer of Madhu. Or Madhu Nama Rakshasam. Then take Rakshasam. So Bhagavan is addressed by the name Madhusudana. Taya Samyena, the yoga which is Samya Yoga. Samyena, Samyena Proktaha, Taya Proktaha, Ayam Yoga. This yoga which was taught by you, Samyena, as sameness. Samatvam, Samadarshanaha. This yoga which you have talked about, Samyena Proktaha Yogaha, Taya, Etasya of that, Samya Yoga. That is Jnanam Samatvam. Chanchalatva, due to the agitation of the mind. Stitim, stiram stitim. Stitim, the stira is steady. Sthiti is state. Here is the state of steadiness. Because of the agitation of the mind, I am not able to see this steady state. That is state is vision, translated vision, darshanam. Sthiti is darshanam. Steady vision of this because of the chanchalatva. Chanchala of what? Manaha. That we have to supply. Manasaha chanchalatvat samyak darshanam stiram stitim na pashyami. Stiram stitim. Stitim is the karma for pashyami. Agam na pashyami. What? Stitim na pashyami. What stitim? Stiram stitim. The clear vision, so steady vision. Because of the fictitious nature of the mind, I am not able to have the vision, the steady vision of what you have taught. That is Samya. The yoga which you talked about as sameness, I'm not able to see. So here Arjuna presents his problem, saying that vision of sameness, Samya Darshanam, Samatva Darshanam, yoga of sameness, oneness, that Krishna talked about, was not as simple as it seemed, given the condition of his own mind. Because you have to see with the mind, there is no seeing with the eyes. It is seen. So therefore, he describes his mind as Chanchala. Chanchala. In fact, later he's going to say the agitation is mind. Mind is of the nature of agitation. Because of this agitation, Arjuna doesn't think that there is any such thing as a steady vision of sameness. The mind is not prepared, this vision of sameness is not possible. Therefore, because of the agitation of the mind, Chanchala become Manaha, because of the mind. So I'm not able to have this steady vision. And even if there were, it would be very difficult to deal with this mind in order to gain such a vision. Even if it would be very difficult. Even if for that, it would be very difficult because first is doubt is vision. Even such vision is there. It will be difficult to deal with this mind in order to gain a vision, because that vision requires the mind, preparation of the mind. So therefore, preparing the mind is difficult. The preparation of the mind is difficult to gain such a vision. The first Tiram Sitim na Pashyami. So Arjuna is discouraged. He knows how the mind acts, behaves because of the turbulence nature of the mind. Therefore, it says, I don't see any way to gain such a vision. Arjuna presents a problem that everyone can identify with. This is everybody's problem, not only Arjuna's. So that is the beauty of Gita. Vyasacharya presents everybody's problem through the mouth of Arjuna. One that is very common for anyone who has a mind. What Krishna had taught thus far seemed to have gone into Arjuna's head, but still, there's a very valid doubt. For him, the whole teaching seems to boil down to two things. The mind is that should be composed, mind that is composed and steady is a proper receptacle for knowledge, and the knowledge had to be clear. Unless the knowledge is clear, unless the knowledge is clear, the clarity, there is no freedom. And for knowledge to happen, the mind has to be steady, composed, should be prepared. So therefore, it starts with the mind, and mind is turbulent. Therefore, I don't see the vision what you have taught, the study vision. I don't see any hope to have such vision. The Arjuna says, because the vision requires the mind which is calm and steady. In the mind only the knowledge takes place. Therefore, the mind has to be calm and steady. And mind being chanchalatvat, agitated almost all the time. Therefore, the clarity of the vision and the clarity of the vision is not possible. It's difficult. This clarity could perhaps be gained easily by proper inquiry, etc., if the mind were composed and steady. Therefore, Arjuna's question relates to how to make the mind steady, the means for making the mind steady. So that is the question. In fact, the whole sadhana is in jnanam is jnanam happens when the pramana is operated. The moment pramana is operated, jnanam takes place. Jnanam removes ajnanam, moksha. Then it's freedom only. But for the pramana to operate, the mind has to be ready. For pramana to function. So therefore, the whole process is preparing the mind. It takes years, it takes janma also sometimes. It's all about improving the adhikaritvam. There only all the effort is involved, not in jnanam. Jnanam happens when pramana is operated. So therefore, the whole process is preparing the mind. The whole process is increasing or cultivating the adhikaritvam. So the more the adhikaritvam, the more the clarity would be, the more the clear vision would be. So therefore, what Arjuna's question is, what is the means to make the mind steady? He finds his mind very turbulent. Not only everybody's problem this is. He also says that it has its roots. This proves that what is considered to be modern psychology, it can also be found in Gita. The mind doesn't seem to follow any rational way of operating. One may reason very clearly about how silly the mind can be, but still it has its roots and its own modes of thinking. Therefore, Arjuna is asking, in a sense, whether there is a means, a upaya, to make the mind steady, enough to gain the knowledge. Knowledge happens only in the mind, therefore the mind has to be made steady. And what is the means to make the mind steady? How does one gain the mind that can gain the vision? That is the question. That comes only by practice. Bhagavan is going to say later. Introducing Arjuna's question, Bhagavad Pada indicates that the yoga which has been discussed so far, the yoga as some in a sameness, that is seeing the sameness in everything, sarvatra samadarshana. It has a status of being difficult to gain. Seeing that is difficult to gain because of the agitation of the mind. Yatoktasya samyak darshana lakshanasya yogasya dukkha sampadyatam alakshya. Yatokta samyak darshana lakshanasya yogasya. Yoga which is samyak darshana. Yoga which is characterized by clear vision, which is what is the taught yata uttam. That is dukkhena sampadyata alakshya, which is very difficult to gain. Dukkha sampadyatam alakshya. Because the mind is required Mind has to be prepared. Therefore, Arjuna wants to know the ways and the means of gaining a mind that will assimilate this knowledge. Having thought about the difficulty in having this vision, because which requires a mind, the mind has to assimilate this knowledge. Therefore, Arjuna is asking the means to gain such a mind that will assimilate this knowledge. That which is common in everything, the truth in everything is called Samyak Darshan, Atma Darshan. Samyak Darshanam, clear vision. Samyak Darshanam, Atma Darshanam, the vision of sameness, that is Brahma. Sarvatra Samadarshanaha, that is Atma, because the vision is gained. Vision is knowledge. The knowledge is gained through the mind. Therefore, Arjuna wants to know. Arjuna wants to know how to gain that particular frame of mind through which knowledge can be gained. Since knowledge can be gained only through the mind, and what is the means to prepare the mind? And Arjuna addresses Krishna as Madhusudana, meaning the destroyer of Madhu. The destroyer of Madhu, the name of a particular demon Bhagavan had slain. Madhu also means honey. Madhu is a Ukaranta Shabdaha. Madhu, Madhuni, Madhuni. There's another name, it's another name for ego. Madhum Nama. This Ahankara, one's own ego. One's own ego is sweet for oneself. One doesn't give up its one's ego. Therefore, ego is dear to oneself. So Madhu can mean ego also. So everyone loves his or her own ego and wants to fatten it up, it seems. So as a teacher, then Bhagavan was capable of destroying the Ahankara, the false ego with knowledge. Therefore, Madhun Nama, Rakshasam or Ahankaram, Sudayati. That's why Arjuna addressed him as Madhusudana. Arjuna wants Krishna to know that that he doesn't think he could have this abiding vision of sameness. That is, Arjuna thinks occasionally he may get a slight little insight, but he knows that his mind doesn't remain steady for long. So not only does Arjuna doesn't see, not see how this vision could remain steady, but he also knows the reason. Because his mind is always in a state of agitation, chanchalatvat. Because his mind always in this state, therefore, he doesn't see the possibility of gaining this vision. He doesn't see the possibility of gaining this vision. The mind seems to have its own logic, its own roots, and therefore, and even though it may get some knowledge, the knowledge seems to have its own quarters, with no connection between the two. Actually, then Arjuna wants to know what could be done about this. So that is the question of Arjuna. So the knowledge is difficult to gain unless the mind is prepared. That how to prepare the mind. Therefore, continues further, expresses his problem, the problem of the state of mind. Vyasacharya beautifully puts it here, as though it's not only Arjuna's problem, it is everybody's problem. As sadhaka, everyone has the same question. It's all about preparing the mind, preparation of the mind. So therefore, Arjuna further says, let us read, shloka number 34. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramathi balavadridham.
Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadhi lapavadrutam.
Balavadridham, not labavad. Juxtaposing the letters.
Pramadhi palavadrutam.
Tasyakam nigraham anye vayoriva sudushkaram.
Tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram.
So chanchalam, manaha chanchalam, chanchalatmakam manaha. The mind is defined. Jatobodha. Chanchalatmakam manaha. Manaha is chanchalam. Fickle minded, agitated, always. Pramati, it's very forceful. It is pramati, tyrannical. Balavat is strong. It is dridam. It's very well rooted. Rooted in its own way of thinking, has its own roots. So, therefore, tasya nigraham. Nigraham is mastery, control, mastery. It's difficult because, like the air, which cannot be controlled, the wind cannot control the wind. Similarly, the mind is also difficult to control. Like the vayu, which doesn't stay in one place, it always moves around. Similarly, the mind also moves around, doesn't stay in one place. So that is how the mind should be, and mind it is. Mind cannot stay in one thing. Otherwise, knowledge cannot happen. Otherwise, the knowledge cannot happen. In the seat of meditation, and the mind is focused on a particular thing, and the focus, when it is achieved, that is a deliberate practice. Then, but if mind is fixed on one thing all the time, then it's a problem. Then one cannot transact with the world. So therefore, it is natural that mind moves from one thing to other. But in the seat of meditation, it should be remain in the object of meditation. So therefore, that requires practice. So one should be able to have mastery over the mind, when to apply the mind and when to withdraw the mind. So that is what here Bhagavan, he asked, Arjuna asked Bhagavan, the mind which is difficult to control, like the Vayu. So how to make it one point fixed, the seat of meditation. As we all know, Krishna, the mind is agitation, a strong, well-rooted torrent. Pramati, it is forceful, pramati. Matadatu, mat means to churn, it is pramati, it is tyrannical, it is unobeying, tyrannical. Therefore, I think of it as impossible to control. Sudushkaram, 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 well, it is so is well. Dushkaram is difficult. So it's much difficult. Sukaram is easy to do. Dushkaram, difficult to do. Sudushkaram, it's very difficult, too difficult. It means impossible. Impossible to control the mind like the Vayu cannot be controlled, similarly mind also cannot be controlled. Using a rather long compound, Bhagavad Shankaracharya defines Bhagavan here as Bhakta Jana Papari Dosha Akarishanaha. So Shankaracharya defines Bhagavan Krishna here as Bhakta Jana Papari Dosha Akarshanaha in the Bhashyam. Akarshanaha. Akarshanaha. Karsh Dhatu. Karsh, who removes. Akarshati. Who removes all the dosha limitations. What papa, the papa, etc. Of whom? Bhakta Jana, of his Bhakta. Bhakta Jananam papa, the papanam. Papa are the doshas which Bhagavan removes. That is why the Lord is called Krishna in the Gita. Why is called Krishna? This is the meaning of the word Krishna. Bhakta Jana Papa, the dosha Akarshanaha. Krishna, the word is derived from Krishna. Akarshati iti Krishna, that is one meaning. Akarshati, one who attracts. Bhagavan is attracted because Bhagavan is Ishvara Paramatma, who is the truth. Who is the truth? Who is the reality. So therefore, who is Muktaha, who is limitless. So everyone wants to be free, limitless, not bound. Therefore, Akarshati iti Krishna. Therefore, moksha is what the Akarshana. Everyone wants to be free, but not knowing what moksha is. Therefore, people are after Artha and Kama. So thinking that Artha and Kama will remove their insecurity or will remove the problem of unhappiness. But moksha is Therefore, moksha is what they want, but not knowing that it is moksha, not knowing that freedom is what they seek. Therefore, they seek artha and kama. And Bhagavan is mukta swarupa. Moksha is Bhagavan. Therefore, moksha is really what attracts all the jivas. Therefore, akarshati iti Krishna. That is one meaning. Here, akarshanaha is in the sense of removal. What separates, as though separates the jiva from the Ishvara is this wrong notion. And the wrong notion, the ajnanam, because of which Jivatma seems to be alienated from the Paramatma. Therefore, that is because of Ajnanadi dosha, and Bhagavan removes the Jnanam. Therefore, Bhagavan is called Bhakta Jana. Bhakta Jana is one who is devoted to Bhagavan. They are moksharti. Bhakta Jana Papadi dosha Akarshnaha, who removes the dosha, the defects of the people. The doshas are Papadi. Papam, etc. Ajnanam, Papam, etc. So that way Bhagavan is called Bhakta Jana Papa Yosha Karshanaha Krishnaha. Here in this shloka, Bhagavad Pada explains the meaning of the word Krishna. Why? Because the word Krishna is there, Sambodhana. Chanchalamiki Mana Krishna. So the meaning of the word Krishna is Bhakta Jana Papa Yosha Akarshanaha iti Krishnaha. And Pramati, Balavat, Drida, all these are the description of the word Manaha that Arjuna talks about. Not only is a mind chanchala, it is also Paramati, the tyrant, that which shakes one up, tyrannical. To say the mind is agitated is not enough. The mind is agitation. The mind has a capacity to bring one's senses, body, and reason, everything under its control. It just take charge of everything. One's reason doesn't seem to have any say over this mind. For instance, no one volitionally wants to become sad, but one is sad. No one wants to be angry, but one is angry. Emotions like sorrow and anger, they're all conditions of the mind. They take over the mind, they take over the person. They seem to have hold over the person. One's culture, upbringing, status, and knowledge, they don't seem to have any say when one is angry, when one is emotional. In spite of knowledge, in spite of knowing, knowledge being there, but doesn't have any say when one is angry or one is highly emotional. In fact, one's culture seems to be totally forgotten. And entirely a new language emerges, one that is not found in any dictionary. When one is angry, the words what we utter, whatever the culture he is born with, or yes, whatever the culture he is born with, or whatever the manners he had learned, everything he forgets the spirit of anger. Therefore, the language what he utters it doesn't occur in any dictionary. This language, although generally understood by everyone, since everyone uses it occasionally, it's usually kept suppressed. Culture implies language, and when a person becomes angry, that is for culture is forgotten. Uses unbecoming language, unexpected language. Therefore, the person's culture is gone. His viveka is gone. Therefore, everything is gone. His knowledge is gone. Culture is gone. No matter how refined and culture, no matter how manicured and pedicured, all the culture the person has ever cultivated since long time, it just forgotten in a spirit of anger. It's not just forgotten in a fit of anger. So it's nowhere seen to be in moments of anger. The person's knowledge is also not available at such times. Kamat bhavati sammogat smriti vibraha, krodhat bhavati sammogha, kamat bhavati. So jayito vishyan pumsaha sankasteshu bhajayate, sangha sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodo vijayate. Krodhat bhavati sammogat smriti vibramaha, smriti vibrama. As we saw in second chapter, it completely forgets everything, whatever he had studied, learned, culture, everything is forgotten, the fit of anger. The person's knowledge also is not available at such times. Smriti Vibrama. Everyone knows very well that sadness doesn't produce a desirable result. Arjuna also knows, but Arjuna, the whole first chapter is his lamentation. He was completely despondent. So the sadder one is the more problems one has. No one has solved any problem through sorrow. The first chapter of Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna is sad. Saddened Arjuna. This is all very clear, very rational, as Krishna himself had said when he first began his dialogue with Arjuna saying, Ashocha anvashochastvam prajnavadam shabashase. Arjuna was grief stricken. Therefore he says, looking Arjuna sad, looking sad, he says, Ashocha anvashochastvam. You should not be for those who should not be grieved for. But yet you speak words of wisdom. Everyone knows this, and other people tell you also. But sadness seems to be something that takes over you, doesn't take your permission, just takes over you. If it did, you definitely not give it. Who wants to be sad? Only the permission is sought. There's a question of you granting it or not. It doesn't take your permission. It just overpowers you. Shoka. Therefore, the whole Gita is about handling the shoka. Shoka Moha Nivritti Rupa Gita. The teaching is Shoka Moha Nivritti. Sadness implies a certain type of thinking. Sadness means there is a particular type of thinking going on. Without thinking, you cannot be sad. You think and you sad, therefore thinking is wrong. Wrong thinking, therefore that leads to sadness. Sadness is not like hunger or thirst or sleep. Without thinking, you become hungry. Without thinking, you go to sleep, especially after a big meal. And in the morning, without thinking, you're as angry as a wolf. So to be angry, you don't have to think. Whereas to be sad, you do. In fact, to be sad, to be angry, to be hateful, be agitated, depressed, frustrated, you need to think a lot. But if you really think, you won't be sad, angry, or hateful, agitated. That is thinking, but it's not a right thinking. It's not a rational thinking. The mind is very much present, but at the same time doesn't take your permission. This implies two people here. One who is cultured, highly educated, highly sophisticated, and very considerate, and whose language, style, demeanor, and decorum are quite different from the other person, the angry person. This person seems to have a parallel life, occupying the same mind in the same place, but this person seems to have his or her own roots and definitely seems to be in charge. When this person takes charge, everything is gone. This is called pramati, a tyrant that can disturb and take control of the body, mind, senses, and everything. So, the two types of person. The one person who is knowledgeable, well cultured, but this person seems to have a parallel life, occupying the same mind, same place, and the angry person takes over this person, then everything is gone. That is called pramati. So pramati, this angry person takes over this knowledgeable person, cultured person, takes control of the body, mind, senses, everything. One may ask, if it takes charge like this, why not take control of it with some greater force? Pramati, prakarshena. After all, if someone wants to control you, you can also control that person. All you require is to reinforce yourself properly with some enough weapons, enough strength. Then you can regain control. But this kind of reinforcement doesn't work when the mind is overpowered by emotions. Whatever strength I manage to muster for myself to control this pramati is not adequate. The other always seems to be stronger, like the Vali. Vali is stronger. Whenever an opponent comes, half of his power goes to the Vali. He becomes more stronger than the opponent. Similarly, here, the other always seems to be stronger. It controls me, therefore it is strong, Balavati. Its hold is so strong that I cannot wrench myself away from its control. I cannot even wriggle out of it, nor can anyone get out from under it either. Therefore, Arjuna says it is drida, it is strong, that keeps under its control, once under its control. Just a silk that winds around the worm, keeping it inside the cocoon until it was adequate to come out. So drida also can be translated well-rooted. Drida, well-rooted. This mind has its own roots because of its previous samskara. That has its own roots that seems to be so deep that nothing is enough to uproot it, nothing enough to shake it. Storms generally uproot things, but this mind cannot be uprooted by any storm. Therefore, no amount of brainstorming can do. This mind has its roots in child roots. Drida is roots. It's in childhood. Its orientation, how the person was brought up. So therefore, it has its roots in childhood. The unconscious, goes to the unconscious. Unconscious are all built in the childhood. Therefore, the mind has its roots in childhood and has picked up all kinds of problems from childhood onwards. As a child, one's perceptions are limited, and to those perceptions, others are added slowly along the way. Thus, there is a certain core personality with a lot of added embellishments. Together, they seem to be a person, someone who is altogether different, whom we call the mind, the psychological mind. In the beginning, as a child, the perceptions are limited, therefore, the child mind is fresh, but slowly it picks up a lot of things, a lot of perceptions are added, then it becomes altogether a different one. That and then the later it develops into yes, like the mind with a lot of perceptions added to it. That is called psychological mind. The psychological mind, emotional mind, which has its roots since childhood, that Arjuna is talking about here, that is Drida. That's why we say every mind has its own roots. Depends on the family, society, the parentage, etc. So that's its roots. That mind is Drida, well rooted. That controls everything. To control such a mind, Arjuna says it's very difficult. Tasyaham nigraham manye sudushkaram manye. I consider such a mind, controlling such a mind is difficult. Dushkara means difficult. So Dushkara means very difficult. It means impossible. So Arjuna compares any attempt to control the mind to trying to catch the air in one's hand. Vayoho iva sudushkaram. Cannot trap the air, similarly, you cannot control the mind. The air is not available for catching. Similarly, no control. Control, it's impossible. Even if it tries to trap the mind somewhere, like one trap air, it cannot do it because the mind will always be outside of the trap is set for it. It would just look at him, teasing him almost. This is not happening. What happens? You think you have given the mind a job to do, like chanting a mantra. Come on, turbulent mind, chant. Okay. Then you think that the mind is doing it until you find that it is outside somewhere. The mind will be chanting. Then you, after some time, you will find it is lying somewhere else. The mind may have taken you so far away that you are even oblivious of it. You don't know how long you were there or remember what you are doing before. The mind would have taken you from the mantra long back. You realize it later. Somewhere the mind trips you up and takes you for a ride. It is elusive and that you cannot set a trap for it. That is why the mind is compared to a monkey. It's compared to the Vayu. Okay, I think we'll stop here. Therefore, stress need not be a factor of agitation. We'll continue this topic later, tomorrow. Stop here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam
Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om
Dhanyavadaha.
Dhanyavadaha